Welcome to another episode of the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, of course. Today I have an amazing show. I'm with some dynamic individuals, some thespians, and actors and actresses, Latino, African American, from all parts of the country. We got Hotland in here, we got New York, so we got some other regions, but you're going to see some of the people, you're going to talk to them. We're at the back door. Some of you that may be aspiring actors may not be familiar with it, but my co-facilitator and the brother who puts it together, Mr. Phil John, definitely an actor. If you haven't seen him, you need to keep your eye awake because he's coming real heavy for you. But he's going to let you know exactly what the back door is, and then we're going to get into some of the issues that I think plague African American and Latino actors with regard to how we're perceived in Hollywood and how we're recognized and the type of opportunities we're given. So without further ado, my comrade, Mr. Phil John.
What's going on? This is Phil John. We're here talking about minorities in New York City who are actors and striving to make it big on the big screen and on stage and so on and so forth. And basically what the back door is kind of like my kind of saying as far as a lot of actors who I felt that did not take the traditional route in regards to going to classes or maybe going to school or going to a conservatory. And it's something that we all have our own opinions about. So we just started discussing it, so you're catching us like right in the heat of a heavy situation, heavy topic. So I mean, if you could just get it started, here we are. You know. If anybody else can just...
Well, I'll interject. So we were talking about this momentarily, before we went on behind the scenes or whatever the case may be, like Black, Latino, are ethnically ambiguous. And some people that's watching, from different parts of, the world, actors, and whether they're in Europe, China, Sudan, wherever, they may not know what that means, ethnically ambiguous. I'm going to be honest. As versed as I believe that I am, and I like to present myself, that particular term, threw me off. So express and explain to my audience that may not be familiar or understand that term, ethnically ambiguous, when it pertains to the acting realm.
You know what? Erica Myers can better answer that question.
Yes, Miss Erica Myers. Yes, Miss Erica Myers.
All right. Well, ethnically ambiguous, I guess, for a lot of artists means that you can play different races, ethnicities, and cultures and things like that. And right now, what we're beginning to see, I guess, across a lot of different media is what the industry is looking for now. People that, can play African American, can play Latino, can play dark-skinned Caucasian woman, that sort of thing. So.
Or Arab, or
yeah.
Whatever else that you can do. Well, it's true. So I think we were actually in the process of actually expressing how we felt about it, because the perception of who we are is what we're perceived however the casting director perceived us when we walked through the door. Right. Pretty much. Right. And that could be anything.
I'm sorry, I just want to comment on two things. Regarding the back door, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're talented and you haven't had that break that you needed. And you do have the training. Like I have a BFA in dance, but I have a minor in theater. So, and I haven't had that big TV film break yet. So I think in regards to that, if you do have the talent and you do know someone that can sort of put you on, I think it could be a great thing. In terms of being ethnically ambiguous, I don't know if I like that term. I mean, I think it exists, and I know it's very real in the industry, but I guess if you can play many different ethnicities, it works in your favor. But I think at the end of the day, it's about if you're talented or not. To me, in my opinion, I think if you can, give the performance that's needed that moves the audience, I think to me that's the most valuable thing.
Right. Well, when it comes to the back door, my issue is I just don't want that to be the only thing. I don't want it to be like, well, I just got, not to say that, John Singleton has gone to do bigger and better things, but if I got cast in Boys in the Hood, I'm good. I'm ready for the next Hood flick. I don't want that to be, I just don't want that to be the only thing. I want it to be, okay, fine, I did this, Boys in the Hood, now I'm going to try to better myself as an actor.
That's a judgment right there.
Is that a judgment?
Yeah, you just judge that whole thing. If that's your niche, if that's what's going to get you, and if that's what's going to get you more work, if you're going to play the hood, if that's what's going to pay your rent, if that pushes you up the ladder being in that type, if that type, exactly. And if you're okay being cast as that type, and that's only a decision that you yourself can make and can live with. I mean, for me, I can't do it. I know I can't. I don't choose. I can't. I just can't. So I won't. I know what my. I know what my product is. I know how I'm perceived. I know my skill set. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
If I had that skill set and I could do it and it'd be real, I'd be there in a minute.
Right.
But I can't. So I know for me, I know my type is, you know, an educated so-and-so, whatever, and you work it. But to say that, well, I'm going to play the hood and I'm going to better myself, you just judge that character. Whereas if someone is okay with that and they're good at that and they're being true to that character and that set of circumstances, and they're happy with it, let it be.
And yeah, usually people who like...
And that could be their end.
Yeah, usually people sort of like, if you're going to play the hood, then that means that the person's, that's their paycheck. That's how they're going to make the money. That's how they're going to make a living.
Right.
And once, it usually works as, once you establish yourself by making that, then I can say, well, I have a name for myself. I'm going to try this because I feel like I deserve it. Because I don't have to be stereotyped or like be pigeonholed in this one hood category. I have a name, I got money, I can make my own film and do what I want to do.
Terry True, that's his thing. And I'm happy for him.
It's
tough.
She's not, her path was not traditional at all.
No.
Like she has a degree in like something random. And I mean, she started in that niche, like just, you know, B films.
Who is this?
Taraji. And now she's like, fabulous. And she's an amazing actress with no traditional background.
But Taraji did, I mean, she was a fine art student at Howard. So she was a fine art student. But I want to ask you this question because I think everybody's making a valid point. And I actually did a show one time about is urban America accurately represented in Hollywood? And everybody who talks about, you know, when our blaxploitation films or our films are always ignorant, as one of my colleagues had said. And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, when we see the roles that we play, and sometimes we can get typecast. But my question was, you know, and it pertained to Scarface. I said, every dude on the planet probably has Scarface. And too many individuals want to emulate to be Scarface. And I said, I wonder if Al Pacino recognizes now, in retrospect, the damage that role actually perpetuated throughout urban America. Because it might seem it's a classic film, but when you have young kids that aspire to be Scarface, let's be clear, Scarface was a murderer, drug dealing, killer who died. And if all of young African American Latinos want to aspire to that, it can become an issue. Now also when it becomes typecast, I spent 4 years in Hollywood, working with the Wayans brothers, Will Smith's camp, and it can happen when you can get typecast. And it's not necessarily just being a gangster role. What's the guy who played Al Bundy? Ed O'Neill. One of the things for him was he was typecast forever because you only saw him as Al Bundy. So I just wonder, you know, yes, you have to eat because it's a good thing, but sometimes when we play hood films, society in Hollywood kind of sees, well, they're all ghetto anyway, so they're not really acting. That's kind of just who they are. So when does it become a point where your ability to play the thug role is not going to pigeonhole you as, oh, that's just his or her human nature?
But I don't even think that African Americans in that type of role get pigeonholed. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so many, like Jim Carrey. For so long, he's done the same type of film. Right. So, I mean, I just think it's across the board that some people, they just play what they play.
Right.
And they make a check.
I think it's a lot of times it's that producer call, I'm putting a lot of money into this film. I need to make sure I get this money back. So,
did you say Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Okay, now here's my issue. I think Jim Carrey can afford to do that. I don't think we can.
That's what we're going
And to a certain extent, I agree with you.
I don't think
there's not
but
a distribution of
I don't think we can afford.
No, when he first got started, he didn't have money either, though.
I think her point is...
Is it money or
No.
perception?
No. He's still playing, well, not now, but he's been playing the same roles.
Since In Living Color.
Right.
Living Color.
That same physical comedy.
Well, I think, Jim Carrey, yeah, he does those roles like Yes Man, those things, but he does do a lot of other things because that's his paycheck. So now I have like $22 million in the bank. I can do what the hell I want to do. Right. I can play all.
Right now we're just talking about being, you know, in one
just
type
the
of.
Yeah, right.
Which I think Jimmy made a good point just there in that I think when people say typecast, they think it's a bad thing. And like Russ was saying earlier, we have to understand that we are a product. It's not about us. It's not about, you know, what Erica likes, what Erica doesn't like to do. It's about here, and that's it, and what you give off. And so we can't think that necessarily the typecast is a bad thing, because to me, a person who's typecast knows their product. They know what to deliver, who to go to, what projects to do, and they work, more importantly.
Can I add one thing, though? I think what we're leaving out, and I think this kind of hits on what you said, that they continue to like do these projects and then they don't go and get real training. We're forgetting that it's the people behind the desk that continue to hire them. And that pushes the will to keep going. Oh, they're going to keep hiring me. Why should I take classes? I'm making a paycheck. I'm doing better than the people who did get an MFA, who are out there hustling. I got a paycheck. So it's that we're forgetting about those people who are also helping this process so long.
Not only that, they have a following too. When,
Right.
You know?
Once you got a following, then you got an image.
Right.
It's like a double-sided sword sometimes. There's one time it's like you can either do one end or you can do the other. But either case you see it, it all has this little recompense, or they call it bad karma. Because in a sense, it's like always when as an artist, you always try to play both sides, but you can never play both sides because it always have a bad edge to me. So hey, sometimes it's either case when you see it has typecast or something has a paycheck. Either way, what level do you think they can go to after they've been typecasted for at least, let's say, 5 years of their projects, that they don't go into some new ones?
It was something what Erica just said too. It's like knowing your product. I just finished class about marketing for actors and stuff like that, and like they really teach us like what can you get hired right now, like what is going to get you in the door, and how can you keep capitalizing on that. And a lot of problem is a lot of actors don't know their product. They're auditioning for things. Well, first of all, their headshot is deceiving, saying that they can play this. I know this guy I'm going to do a film with. He thinks, I guess my judgment, his headshot is like romantic lead, but he is not a romantic lead. When you see him, I'm like, he always get cast as like, you know, the kind of shy guy, the psycho guy. So I was like, what's going on? Like, you don't really know your product. Like a lot of actors trying to get that pretty picture, trying to deceive the person in the room, but when you walk in, you something different. You're totally something different, and that stops a lot of actors.
And I want to capitalize on that since we're on it, because there's a topic that says actors, preparation, professionalism, and accountability. Why are most young actors of color unknowledgeable or unprepared? And I think that kind of strikes a chord with you coming in with a headshot, or whatever you call it, that says you can do one thing, but I'm looking at your picture, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at your picture. So if you're presenting yourself as I can play this particular role, but maybe that casting director is looking at it and say I can't cast you there, to some degree you came in unprepared. How can a young actor circumvent that?
Do you think that's unfairness, or you know, if you don't have someone like a mentor saying to you, your headshot doesn't mean anything. You as an actor, you know. So I think
people just don't know.
They just don't know.
They don't know this. Like they just don't know. Right. People don't really teach it.
Right. But when you don't know something, if I didn't know exactly how this round table was going to be, this session was going to be, and I didn't come with the light. I don't know if the lighting is good. I didn't come with the light. I came unprepared. Yeah. So what I'm just saying is, if you go to the casting director, either you're prepared to get the role, you're prepared to be shot, be cast, or to be looked at, or you're not. If your tangible credentials are not accurate, are you prepared?
I guess your marketing part of your business is prepared.
And I was told by a casting director just the other day, you know, especially if you have like a headshot gallery online, you should have several different looks.
Right.
So I did, but that costs a lot of money, and a lot of us are starting artists. So it's hard to like take a corporate shot, a funny shot, a geeky shot. I mean, it's expensive. But I know that I do have headshots that vary. I know if I'm going in for a comedic role, I'll take in a sort of quirky headshot. Whereas if you're going in for a Law and Order episode, you have a more serious headshot. But again, it's expensive. It's it's lucrative. So I don't know. It's hard.
I think it's worth to get a person who is expensive photographer, because, like with me, I paid a lot of money for my headshots, but I paid for her professionalism because she knew what I would get cast in, and right away she told me, like, she picked out everything that I knew I would get cast in. Like, she would tell me the story of this guy. This woman is like $1,000 headshot. And this guy she was with 4 times, so he spent $4,000 till he got the right headshot. And she's like, you know, you're trying to be the leading man. She said, you are a bad boy, because he had all these tattoos.
Right.
So it's finally, it's like one headshot with this thing up, with his like this tattoo, and immediately got an agent, immediately stopped looking work, because she was telling him, this is your type, and he didn't want to listen.
Right.
Well, to continue with that really quickly, with what you just said, I think that's the point that a lot of people of color and people in you know the creative arts struggle with, which is, earlier, the comment was made that you're a product, and I think that's not fair. You're selling a product, which is coming from you, but to make it more broad, you're a business. Right. You're in business, and a lot of us, unfortunately, are not willing to accept that responsibility. But we're operating in the constructs of business. Right. So the quality of preparation that business takes, unfortunately, many of us aren't willing to just look at it for what it is. And when you look at that quality of business, there's this principle called Pareto's Law, which is an 80-20 principle. It was some Italian guy came up with it, and he noticed that of all the public pastures or something like that, or I forget, it was like sheep or something, like 80% of that product or whatever belonged to 20% of the people. And he kept finding this principle in everything, in all these different dynamics, and now it's this regularly established principle that, in business, 80% of your cash flow is going to come from 20% of your clients. And so your real strength is figuring out who are those 20%, and then focusing on them. And unfortunately, with actors, with professionals that are in the creative arts, we don't look at that, because we tend to think of so much of our work as the craft of what we do. Right. So we'll spend $4,000 or $1,000 on an actor workshop with no problem. Right. We have to spend $1,000 on a headshot, right. Then all of a sudden it's like, that's too much money, he's charging me too much. But the truth is, an actor workshop, will get you the job if you get the audition. If you get the audition. The headshot will get you the call to get the audition. Right. And unfortunately, you find time and time again, and it's something I personally struggle with, because I work in the field of the arts now, and ironically I'm a photographer, so but I don't do headshots. But time and time again, you see these people, and you're like, well, how did he get on? How did she get on? They're not talented, but guess what? They have a marketing rep. They have an advertising rep. They have an agency that specializes in advertising and in what do they call that? It's not branding, but it's like it's what individuals do when they have like a coach almost. And these people, they prepare every element, right? They're like handling every element of what you see is so tightly controlled. Denzel doesn't do 10 interviews a year.
Right. Now, all that's very important. Now, because I have a short-term memory, amazingly. Because Phil said two things, I'm going to get back to, because you already said some off-record that ties in directly to the fourth topic. But I lost it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wanted to just piggyback. I came up with that topic because, and I'm saying that young people are unprepared, because working where I work, I see a lot of young minorities come in with like a lot of drive, a lot of ambition, but they're very unprepared. I see those same young people show up at auditions with no headshot. And it's just like, yeah, I want to be put on. I want to, I think they don't understand that it is a business. And it's not just, I want to become a star. It's a business. And you have to be prepared. And you have to be professional. When you walk into a room, when you go into an audition, that's like going into an interview. There's certain tools you need to have. There's a certain way you need to behave when you walk into the room. Yes, we're all actors, and we all put on characters, but there's still basic essentials that you need to know in order to be successful. And that's what I'm saying.
I have a question. You keep talking about the young minorities that come into your business. What's the ratio of the young minorities and then those that are working? Because maybe those that are working don't need to come in, so you don't see what they do.
Not the ones that are working. It's the ones who are, like the green ones, the ones who are really, really green. And the ones who
so they're new, so they don't know.
They're very new.
So they don't know.
They don't know anything. If you don't know, you don't know.
Right. And I find like a lot of them come in and they have...
So they're coming to the right place.
They've been told things about being successful and getting into the business, but when you have to bring them down, that's like somebody who is trying to learn how to drive a car. And they're like, yeah, man, I want to drive a car and I want to just go to 80. But you don't even know how to stick the key in the ignition and turn it. You don't even know how to check your mirrors. You know none of that. And it's like, okay, I see what you want to do. Now just fall back a little bit and let's take baby steps. Step one, this is what you have to do. You know, and sometimes it's your approach. I mean, come on, because a lot of young ethnic men and women come in and I hate to use this term, but it's true. They very hood. They're very green. And they come in and they're so hood. They're very hood. And you can't go in front of these white people hood unless you're getting cast in the film.
But that is what they want. That's what they've seen.
That's all they've seen. So how do you change their mentality to realize that there's more out there that they can do once the role's out there for them?
Right. I mean, is your frustration based in that they just don't know that there's the things that they just don't know? Right. Is that what it is? I mean, I see your frustration about them not being prepared, but if they don't know that they don't know,
expect them to.
Right. You can't really expect them to. So, like I was going to say off camera, who was the attended audience for that particular part? I mean, because we're talking about them, but they're not here. So
to speak up for themselves.
Yeah.
Mr. Atlanta had something to say. I want her to get a point out. Mr. Atlanta.
I'm sorry. I'm not talking about any one particular person, but I'm talking about a trend that I see. You know, if I'm working the table and I'm at Actors Fest and I'm at Industry Expo, you know, a lot of times before they go approach my supervisor, I see him coming a mile away because I just see it. We don't take it. It's not. We don't take a rocket science to see it coming. So I pull him aside and I say, before you go to him, I need you to come to me. I need you to tone your shit down. And then I tell you, I need you to tone it down. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, America. But this is the urban Wall Street report. Hold on. I'm sorry. You can scratch that. Edit that. I apologize. But I'm just saying, you get my point.
Phil, that's good though, because like Russell was saying, but do you feel as though you're hypersensitive to those people who come in because they're of color and because you want your people of color?
I feel like,
because I feel like to a certain extent, and that's the thing, I feel like because, you know, I do the seminars, monitor and everything. So I feel like there's a level playing field. But there's a level playing field of people that are unprepared. It's just because you and I are advocates, you know, for people of color and wanting them to succeed, that I feel like that sticks out to us more.
And that's also in education. You see time after time, you know, my mom was a teacher, my family, all the women are teachers. And, you know, I was raised in this environment, you see it. Who gets the most attention in the classroom? The students who are A students or the students who are disruptive? The students who are disruptive get most attention. That should not be the case, right? We should be learning to focus and channel our attention toward the people who are the example of how we want people, you know, to behave and act. But unfortunately, we give most of our attention in education systems and even in our justice systems to criminals, you know, the people doing the wrong thing. And, you know, you ask the question, you open it up with techniques or tips that you would recommend for people. I think one of the number one things is, you know, it's been mentioned several times, but for myself, I think about it, you know, learn to deal with criticism.
Right.
So many actors have such a hard time getting criticized, not understanding that what they're producing and what they're showing is a product of their profession or of their business. And so when people make a criticism, they take it personally as an attack on who they are, as opposed to an attack on their strategy for presenting that product, or the strategy for presenting that character. And I think that's probably one of the best things anyone in any business could ever learn, is how to hear every form of criticism constructively. That if you take it personally, you've just lost the opportunity to make every single person that you've ever asked for an opinion, or whoever offers opinion, you know, to you, a stakeholder in your success. And when you can make every single opinion about you or about your work, you know, somehow positively reinforcing something you can learn to do better, you know, you're light years ahead of the people that can only hear negativity in constructive criticism, or they can only hear a bit of criticism and immediately emotionally engage as it being a judgment of how bad they are, what they need to be doing better. And you see it time and time again with the arts, where artists have such a hard time letting go enough to let the outsider's view influence their development. And yet, in all art, 50% of your art is the audience.
Yeah.
Yep.
You gotta be vulnerable to it.
Okay, is it my time? So I have like 25,000 things to say. Okay, so way back to the whole business thing. So I come from a business background, period. A bachelor's, MBA, was a consultant for years. And so now that I took the leap from your typical corporate consultant to all entertainment, acting and production, I'm also behind the camera. So I produce commercials and videos. And when it comes to producing, we don't care about anything but making sure the money does what it needs to do. Wow. Period. When it comes to casting a commercial, we care about the client. If the client wants this, we cast that.
That's right.
Period. And yes, it is all about perception. And I don't mean like 50%, 75, 80. It is 100% about perception. If we have a commercial and all of a sudden our lead can't do the commercial and we have 6 hours, we're calling the top agency, send us your best people, and then we'll look at those people and we will literally pass judgment. We don't have time. Mm-hmm. So you never know. Like she said, there's people behind the camera that are making these calls. Right. Literally, they are making decisions. You don't know how fast those decisions have to happen. And when it comes to, presenting yourself as a product, because it is a business, and properly marketing yourself and understanding, you do have to step outside yourself. You do have to say, okay, what is the best way that I can present myself? And within that realm, what are the qualities that I want them to see that quick? That's a hard thing to do on paper, in a picture. That is very difficult. So it's like when you have all of these obstacles and you don't come from a business background, and I come from a business background and I still don't know some of the time what the hell I'm doing. That's another perfect you ask. But I can just imagine if I had zero clue. But that's why people, you talk about these people that come into your job and they don't know what they're doing, but they're there. You know what I mean? And your job is established to help people go from here to here. So the first step is them recognizing I need help. Where can I go to get assistance to go from here to here? Oh, boom. There is this established company whose job and whose existence is to take people from here to here. Let me go there and start. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they're not coming there because they already know what they need to do. They're coming there because they have no clue. You know what I mean? Like, I'm part of that group, right? Because I'm new to New York. And I said, where do I need to go so that I can do all those things that I need to be doing? Because walking around the streets of New York, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? No. And then the whole, another point, sorry. He just touched on, damn it, short-term memory kicked in, your fault. Hold that thought.
80-20?
No, it wasn't 80-20. But that's very true as well.
It'll come back. But it'll come back.